What's up, guys? Long overdue project. I've had these things forever sitting in the garage. We're going to be installing the new aFe Turbo Inlet Pipes on the 22 TRD Pro to go along with our intake, our cold air and pipes, and all that good stuff. So seems like a pretty straightforward install. I'm going to walk you through step by step, and then we'll check them out at the end. Pretty simple kit. You're going to get your instruction manual, 2 small hose clamps, 2 large, 4 spacers, 2 isolation mounts, and then your 2 inlet pipes themselves. Now these are side dependent. This is going to be your passenger side. This is going to be your driver side. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Step 1, pop the engine cover off. Just lift up on the front and you can pop it off just like that. Before you go any further, I did disconnect the negative side of the battery only because we're going to be disconnecting our MAF sensor. So on the top of your intake, whether you have the stock or the aFe GT Momentum, this is your MAF sensor right here. We're just going to go ahead and unplug that. Using an 8mm nut driver, we're just going to loosen this hose clamp right here and this here so we can remove the pipe that goes from our inlet, our turbo inlet, to our intake. So we're going to be removing this section here for right now. We could also remove or loosen this one here to remove this connection piece, which I'm going to do just to give us a little bit more room. So you could do that all in one. Now before we move the stock turbo inlet pipe, we're going to go ahead and use 2 of those spacers that come in the kit. And let me show you where they're going to go. Coming in here, you're going to see a 10mm bolt right here and right here. So basically all we're going to do is remove those, put the spacers underneath this bracket, and then reinstall the stock bolts. And basically all that's doing is just lifting this piece up just enough because the new inlet pipe is slightly larger for the increased airflow. And I am going to go ahead and tighten these back down using manual, not using my driver. Now all that's left to do is this hose clamp right here. We're just going to pinch that and remove it from the stock inlet pipe. Then there is a 10mm bolt. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you a look at it. Hopefully you can maybe see it. You can't miss it. It's just kind of hard to get a camera angle. It's a 10mm bolt literally right underneath this hose clamp here. And then there's another hose clamp down in here that we also have to loosen. And then we'll be able to fully remove the stock inlet pipe. Once you have that 10mm removed and the hose disconnected, you can then carefully just kind of wiggle and loosen and remove the stock inlet pipe. And that's what it's going to look like right there. Before we go any further, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a comparison, stock versus the new aFe. You can clearly see the diameter difference, the inlet difference. So that's where you're going to get the extra increase in airflow and supposedly the extra performance. So before we put the new inlet pipe in, you want to take one of your isolation mounts that look like that, and you can see it's threaded. We're going to screw this into where the 10mm bolt came out of. So right down, I could actually give you a better look now that the stock inlet pipe is out of the way. This is the hose that we disconnected. That's the mounting location right there that the 10mm comes out of. So we're just going to go ahead and screw this into that hole where the factory bolt was. All right, so there's what it should look like. You can see the isolation mount is screwed in place right there. Now it also is threaded. There's a female thread on this side because we're going to take the stock bolt that we removed, and once we get the new inlet pipe in place, the new pipe is also going to screw right back into there just like the stock one did, but just make sure you have that isolation mount there in between. Okay, so now all we're going to do is take the new pipe, and these you can see I have one of those smaller hose clamps on the bottom, one of the larger on the top. You want them loose, but not loose enough to where they're going to fall off. You can see it's kind of like I could easily spin them, but they're not going to fall off over that lip. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and kind of get it in position down over the bottom location there. Slides over pretty easily. Want to make sure everything kind of lines up. Then we can take that hose that we removed the hose that we removed is going to go right over, same spot as the stock. You can see this nipple right here. So that skinny hose that we removed from the stock location is going to go right back over that nipple on the new intake pipe. All right, so here's where we're at. You can see we have that. This is the skinnier hose that I was talking about that we just slide over that nipple there. We have the clamp back in place to secure it. And then right down beneath it, right here, hopefully you can see it, there's that 10mm bolt that we inserted through the new pipe and into that isolation mount. Again, that isolation mount was threaded, so that would just, the stock bolt just screws into that, okay? I did not tighten down the new hose clamp on either side yet, obviously, because now we need to replace the intake port or tube that goes in this position here, and then we're going to be just about done with the passenger side. All right, you can see how easily that all kind of went together. So now we're just going to go ahead and tighten down 3 different hose clamps. The one right here, and then the bottom one on the new pipe. We'll reconnect our MAF sensor, and the passenger side's done. All right, we are onto the driver's side. It's going to be the same process, so I'm not going to waste too much time. We're going to disconnect the MAF sensor, remove the hose clamps here and here to remove this section. Take these two 10mm out, and we're going to use the other 2 spacers to do exactly what we did on the passenger side. All right, now there are a couple differences on the driver's side. So when you're coming in here, this is obviously the pipe we're working with, the stock inlet pipe. What you need to do is this skinny hose down right here, let me see. This skinny hose that's down here, you can't miss it. It's connected to 2 plastic clips. You need to pop it out. If you watch down here where my fingers are, you need to pop it out of that plastic clip like so. Okay, and then it's also connected right here with another plastic clip, so go ahead and pop it out of that. So now it's loose like so. And then the 2 bolts we're going to be removing, well, actually before we do that, this is the connection right here. We have to remove this hose from the stock pipe just by, you know, squeezing that clamp and sliding it off. And then the 2 bolts that we're going to remove to get the stock pipe out, this is not one of them, okay? So don't get confused. This is not one we're going to remove. Down underneath, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to show this to you, but you can't miss it when you're looking at it. Down underneath, there's a bracket that this plastic piece connects to. Underneath there is an 8mm bolt. If I can't get it on camera, I'll put a picture on the screen, but actually I think I have it in frame right there. If not, I'll put a picture on the screen. But there's an 8mm bolt down in there that you have to remove. And then, just like on the passenger side, there's the hose clamp right here that my finger's touching. That's a 10mm. So you have to loosen that, remove the 8mm bolt that's underneath here, and we'll be able to remove the stock pipe. Once you break this 8mm loose, it's much easier just to get in here with your hand and undo it. Just make sure you don't drop it because you are going to reuse it. All right, now with all them locations done, you can carefully just kind of wiggle the stock inlet pipe and out of the truck. Real quick, just now that I have it out of the truck, I wanted to give you kind of a quick look at this. This plastic clamp and that plastic clamp, those are the 2 that you have to pop that skinny little hose out of. And then this bracket, this is the 8mm bolt spot that you're taking out. Okay, that's the bolt I said don't remove, because you don't need to. This bracket is not going to be reused. That 8mm bolt we removed is going to be reused, but this bracket is not. Okay, so that's what the driver's side looks like out of the truck, just to give you an idea of what you're looking for and what you're looking at when it's down inside there. Now we're going to take the second isolation mount and we're going to screw it into where that 8mm bolt came out. Take your new inlet pipe and kind of snake it down and connect at the lower connection point. Secure it over that mounting location. We're going to reconnect our hose onto the nipple of the new inlet pipe and secure it with that clamp. Then don't forget to put your 8mm bolt back through the mounting location on the new pipe into your isolation mount. Now all we have to do is pop the old tubing from our intake, put that back into place, make sure everything is oriented correctly. Tighten all 3 of our hose clamps, one here, and then the lower one at the lower connection point of the new inlet tube. Reconnect our MAF sensor, reconnect the negative post on the battery, pop our engine cover back on, and the install's done. Quick look at everything put back together. Fit in there nicely. You can see why you kind of had to use those spacers to raise those harnesses up just a little bit. And I love just a little touch of red underneath there. I thought about going with the red intakes as well back when I purchased them. Actually, the red wasn't even available when I purchased these, but I did think about swapping them out to the red. I kind of like the black with just a little touch of red with the new inlet pipes there. So fits perfect. Let's reconnect the battery, turn this thing on, and see if we notice any kind of noise difference. There they are, the aFe Turbo Inlet Pipes install and a little bit of a review. Again, I'm not going to know how well the sound comes out on the clips until I go back and review the footage, but you definitely hear a little bit more of a turbo, almost kind of like a wind noise, I guess, if for lack of better description, but you definitely hear a little bit of extra noise on top of the little bit of extra noise that I had from my intakes and the charge pipes as well. So I'm happy with them. They fit awesome. The install wasn't that bad at all, as you saw. If you have any questions on anything, let me know, but I would definitely recommend them. They're not all that expensive either. So, and I love that little touch of red underneath the hood. Questions, comments, or concerns, put them down below. We'll help you out the best we can. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.